In this video, I'll be doing a walkthrough of my poster. My dimensions are 27 inches by 40 inches, RGB, and 300 ppi. This results in a rectangle or rectangular artboard. My next step is to create a rectangle using the rectangle tool and to create a grid by going up to Object, Path, and Split into Grid. After you split into grid, make sure you hit the preview. My number of rows is 6 and my number of columns is 9 in order to use the rule of thirds. Now I'm heading over to my layers panel and I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer. This is where I'll keep my grid, and I'm creating a new layer where I'm going to input my text. I know it's hard to see what I'm typing, but in just a little bit you're going to see that text increase in size. And I'm typing the lyrics to a song that I really like. Now I'm making my text bigger by holding Shift in order to keep the proportions. And I'm going over to my character panel, messing with the point size, making it smaller, messing with the leading, decreasing that size of gaps between my text. And I'm also going to decrease the tracking, which is the space between two characters, here in a little bit. And I'm also changing the font to one of the fonts that I really like, which is Europa Bold. In this case, I go with the bold, not the italic. But later on, I actually decide on changing it from Europa to Futura, my ultimate favorite font, or Typeface. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm breaking up the letters in order to make it fit on my canvas or my artboard a little bit better. And you can see I'm decreasing the tracking here to make that tighter. Now I'm decreasing the kerning, which is the spacing between all the letters in a block of text. And you can see that kerning being nice and tight now. And I'm also going to mess with the tracking, which is the spacing between two specific characters, in this case the H and the E, and also the U and the R. Now I put my cursor between the U and the I, and I'm also going to decrease that spacing between the U and the I. And I didn't quite like how much spacing there was in there, so I went ahead and I increased that space, but still it's less than what it originally was. Now I'm just doing a little bit of fine tuning and fixing some more of this spacing between the letters, maybe undoing some of the things that I had already done, and just making sure that that spacing between the characters is perfect. And there you have my cat making a brief appearance as I continue to fix the kerning, and eventually I'll move my way over between the T and the O and decrease that tracking and the kerning there, as you can see. Now I'm making my way over to the layers panel, making a new layer, making a rectangle that is the size of my artboard, which is 27 inches by 40 inches, selecting both my text and my rectangle, right-clicking it, and hitting Make Clip Mask. That's going to put everything inside of my rectangle, and I just want to see how it fits on the artboard. As you can see, some of the letters are cut off, which is my intention, but I think it's being cut off too much that it makes some of it not legible. And I decide to instead completely cut off the word I'm, because I think this is such an iconic part of the song that you'll automatically recognize the chorus or the lyrics. So I decided on showing only a very specific part of the lyrics and trusting that the viewer is going to read and going to finish off the lyrics in their own brain. And I'm pretty happy with the composition here. But as you can see, I went to my layers panel. I made a new layer and I pasted my text. I locked one of my text layers and I turned off the visibility in order to mess around with the typeface and figure out which typeface best suits this project. And you can see me zooming in here by hitting Command plus, grabbing that text layer, which is a copy, and changing the typeface. Ultimately, I end up changing my typeface from Europa Bold to Futura. And you can see I nudged it over to the right just a little bit, just so some of that letter is visible on the left hand side, especially the T, because then it can get confused for another letter. But you can see me changing the typeface here to Futura, like I mentioned before. This time I decide to go with Futura medium oblique to give it that slight tilt, to make it just a little bit more dynamic or sportier, because I think it fits this piece of text and lyrics very well. And you can see me choosing demi oblique just to give it a little bit more punch, a little bit more boldness to it. As you can see, I have turned on my grids once again, and I selected my text and just pushing that to the right ever so slightly. Again, just to give it some breathing room, making the text just a little bit larger and bumping it over to the right. Again, my main concern here is that the text is legible and the message gets across to the viewer. You can see that I gave it just enough of the N and enough of the F in order so that the viewer can know what those letters are and not get confused. And what I'm doing here is I'm just again messing with the positioning of the text. And I think this is it. I'm pretty happy with my composition. If you learned something from this video, please go ahead and like. Please go ahead and subscribe. Please go ahead and comment. And let me know what other type of content you would like to see. Until the next time, have a great day.